that I did not kill my son, as I do what they said I did. You know, another thing that kept me going was just keeping things in perspective and to just understand that bad things do happen, unfortunately. Life isn't fair, the system isn't always fair, and that sometimes innocent people do suffer, you know, and to just stay, you know, in the moment and not looking so far back into the past, because I was lost in a lot of pain and looking so far into the future, or, you know, where it was like, when I get home, I'm gonna do this, or I can't wait to get home, you know, because in that situation, I didn't know what was gonna happen. If I lived until I was 53, because that's when I was scheduled to be released from prison. And again, I just had to keep things in perspective. I had to stay in the moment, and I really didn't get to take it day by day. I know I didn't close it.
So I think it might be appropriate to open it up for questions, and Nicole and I are going to remember to repeat the questions after they're asked. So the question is, what happened with the father? Was he convicted? Did he confess as well? Nicole can answer that question.
No, he wasn't convicted. It was only because I did a confession. They did ultimately, he was the original suspect, and they did try to get him to confess, even though he was well innocent. But, you know, as Karen spoke earlier, a lot of times, you know, guys, they are a little different, you know, especially a African American male who probably has some friends with the system. So he knew that when they started continuing questioning, that they were up to no good, so he didn't respond. Whereas I had no experience with this, so I cooperated as they asked me to do.
Yes, Nicole, could you have lawyered up and refused to make any other statements until you talked to a lawyer? Because during your interrogation, when you were talking about a lawyer, you said, oh, if you want a lawyer, you're going to do this and we're going to do that too. Did you ask for a lawyer? Or was there a lawyer present when they interrogated?
All right, so just to repeat the question was whether Nicole could have lawyered up, meaning got a lawyer to represent her at that time, whether she ever asked for a lawyer, when she was offered a lawyer, whether the lawyer was there.
I did ask for a lawyer, and as he said, he told me that if I was telling the truth, I did not need a lawyer. So no, there was not a lawyer present at the time that I was being interrogated. My family called, and they tried to get to the police station to see me and to talk to me and find out what happened. And I was never told about that. This little people, so they didn't let anyone to me.
And just given the lawyer's answer, I'm sure you've heard this, you're entitled to have a lawyer present. They never bring you a lawyer. Sometimes they tell you about your right to a lawyer, often they don't. Really, you have to know your rights, and you have to be strong enough to say, I'm not going to talk without a lawyer. It has to be very hard to do. Please remember that. And a lot of times they'll say, well, as they said to Nicole, if you're innocent, you have nothing to worry about, and go ahead and talk to us. I'm a lawyer. I have a teenage son. I have raised him from a very small age to know you do not ever, ever, ever talk to the police, period. I'm the lawyer. Say, I need to tell my lawyer. And I'm very serious. Never, ever, no matter how innocent you are a suspect, do not talk to the police.
That was the point I was trying to make. For you to say to the audience, if you ever did something, don't speak to them. Don't speak to the police.
Okay, thank you. There's a tall guy back in the back there.
When you said that the police coached you into what to say for your confession, did they provide details of the crime that you might not have known?
So the question is whether the police coached Nicole by providing details of the crime that she might not have known.
Yes, they did. They did. They brought me pictures. He said, here, look, this is where the blanket was. Initially, they tried to get me to say that I did it with the phone court and the medical exam didn't find that to be true. He said, no, even died by a phone or and come and find out it was a she.
And so that is really a good question. It's a very common practice of police and interrogations is to, believe me, I'm not anti-police. I respect police officers. I don't even know that they always do this intentionally. I don't know that they always know that they can elicit false confessions. But during the course of an interrogation, details can be provided to a suspect that can then make their way into the confession. And one of the ways that we can often undo a false confession is sometimes at the time of the interrogation, the police might be mistaken about some facts of the crime. I had a case one time where the police thought that this lamp had been broken in this room during the struggle that led up to these murders. And so the statement of one of the witnesses referred to this broken lamp. Come to find out, the lamp was broken after the murders were done by the emergency personnel who came into the room. And that really helped convince a lot of people, myself included, that these were false confessions and that the details came from the police, not from witnessing the crime. Yes?
Can any legal action be taken against the police officers, the survey officers that mistake and false confession cases?
I'll answer that, probably best with Nicole not to. Lawsuits can be filed against police officers and police departments that allow this type of thing to happen. For the most part, prosecutors who prosecute wrongful conviction cases can't be sued. For the most part, the police officers can be and often are, and rightfully so.
The state as
Well, the state, it depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. It's a complicated question.
And how successful are those who are suing them who after they've been exonerated? So like, does the police normally been found, charged with anything or anything of that sort?
Is the question the question is how successful, and I forgot to repeat that question, which was, the first question was, can police be sued? This question is, how successful are the lawsuits?
Yeah.
And maybe the question is, are the officers charged with crimes? Was that a question?
Yeah, are they charged with, the pushing the false, confession and all things like that?
Right, so the answer to that, and there's actually maybe I won't call her out, but there's a very talented civil rights attorney in the room who hopefully will signal to me if I'm giving the wrong answers, because I do criminal cases, I don't do the civil cases. It is very rare for police officers to be charged with a crime for these type of activities, very, very rare. Civil lawsuits are brought, they are often successful. They're not always successful. The success does not depend on the guilt or innocence of the individual involved. It depends on the ability to prove what you have to prove to make a police officer or the police department or the city or whatever criminally liable. I should add to that there is a state law in Illinois that is more of a no fault, that a person is declared innocent as opposed to not guilty, as opposed to charges being dismissed, is declared innocent by the state of Illinois. The person can get what I consider to be a pittance, but some amount of monetary compensation, and have their name cured, which is probably more important. Yes?
Actually, it's two parts to my question. I want to go back to when she tried to ask for an attorney. Couldn't her case have been overturned based on the fact that they denied her Miranda rights?
So the question is, because Nicole asked for an attorney and didn't get one, could her case be overturned for denial of her Miranda rights, the terminology? Sure, if you can prove that happened. But and remember, this is before they were recording interrogations. So it's Nicole's word against the police officer's word. Who do you think they believe? That is why it's so important now. We do have the law requiring the recording of interrogations in all homicide investigations, and recently they've added other serious felonies as well. Very good question. Yes?
Hi, Nicole. I'm Allison Flowers. I'm at Daniel Taylor's homecoming ceremony. I write a blog called The Exonerating Diaries for WBEZ. So I'm looking at the after incident story. A lot of the attention's on the before. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there as well. So what's the hardest part for you that you found being out in the real world again?
So the question is, what's the hardest part in adjusting to the real world, Nicole?
I think there was rebuilding a relationship with my son, because I didn't get a chance to see him